it is a contrast. Diggity and Danny, big contrast. They're not in the same world. And I think that that's where the conversation of her moving on to Danny has sparked that kind of, is she dating smart? Like, has she settled? Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Evelyn France, the reality check coach. So today I want to talk about relationships, okay? And not just relationships in the simpler form, but relationships in modern day times. So today's conversation is based on this one simple question. Are women finally choosing what they need over what they want when it comes to relationships? This conversation has been inspired by the recent engagement between Tennessee and Danny. And if you don't know who they are, don't worry. I barely know who they are. I just see them on social media. They are essentially UK-based social media influencers. Now, Tennessee, and I think she goes by Tennessee Thresh or Thrasher, correct me if I'm wrong. She's been on the social media sphere for quite some time now. She's literally a stunning beauty, and she started on TikTok and Instagram showing her lifestyle, beauty and fashion. Now, Danny, he's been on social media also, but his career didn't really start blossoming until he went on the Foot Asylum show Locked In, which is where he actually met Tennessee. I believe from there is when he kind of got his name out there. He even admits it in a recent interview where he says that his career was moving, it was going places prior to that show, but Locked In really elevated his career. So with their recent engagement, I was scrolling on the comments and I'm seeing things like,
congratulations, oh my god, yes, I love this for her, oh my god, yes, I love this for them, they make such a cute couple, oh, she's smart, oh, she's dating smart.
And it got me thinking, because I remember when they got together, the comments were not commenting back then. They were not saying the same thing. Those comments are coming back to bite those people in their asses. People had a lot to say. They were saying things like, it didn't look right, like, oh my God, she's settling, dating down, all sorts of things. There was a lot of comments about how they looked as a couple aesthetically. And that is what got me thinking, look, I am new into the dating world, as some of you may know. I was in a relationship for 10 years and I am navigating single life. And in your 30s as well, yeah, it's an experience. Pray for me. Pray for me. Look, these streets are, I heard about the streets, but now that I'm on the streets, I'm like, whoa, actually, I'm not really on the streets. Anyway, I digress. As someone who's navigating dating life, it just made me think about, what is it that I'm looking for? What is it that I want to encourage women who I'm coaching who have recently left relationships or who are trying to navigate dating life? What am I trying to encourage them when it comes to dating? And I really want to get down to this conversation because I think it's a really important conversation to be had. And I'm not sure if anyone's having this conversation. Now, when it comes to society, it appears that they glorify certain types. Those types often overlook compatibility. So let's get started. Number one, what is a type? I mean, everyone has different types, right? And it could be anything that ranges from looks, financial status, lifestyle. It could be anything that ranges from that. Most people, when they hear type, they often think about looks, with the bad boy aesthetic really being something that a lot of women adhere to. And that's kind of nature. Most women instinctively don't want a man who doesn't exude masculinity. They want a man that walks in with strength, looks a bit rugged, looks strong. And that's from nature. Instinctively, we want a man that looks like he could take on a bear. And I know we're not fighting bears these days, but we want to know that if anything happens, he's going to take them down. So society does seem to have a type that they kind of all collectively agree on, and that's kind of the bad boy aesthetics. And that could be within any race, just anyone that looks a bit rough around the edges and looks a bit rugged. But types can be categorized into financial, lifestyle, and looks. Now, the issue comes when people have a type and that type requires them to chase them. You may have a type that you usually gravitate towards, but that's not really necessarily the type of person that you should be with for many different reasons. And that leads you to chasing that type because it's not a type of person that you would naturally gravitate to or naturally work with. And that's where types can be a bit confusing. And we could say that Tennessee had a type, potentially. This is all assumptions, and I'm a legend with a lot of it because I don't know these people. But we could say that Tennessee had a type prior to Danny. Her last high-profile relationship was with Diggity. We all know Diggity. He's a UK-based rapper. And obviously, we don't know him personally, but we know he's been through a rough past. And we also know that stereotypically, he looks like that typical bad boy. And as a rapper, he's in that world, and that world isn't associated with highly committed men. It just isn't. I'm not digging at them, no pun intended, but that is what it is. She was previously with him. That relationship didn't work out. There was a lot of speculation when it came to that relationship. And I think that that's where the conversation of her moving on to Danny has sparked that kind of, is she dating smart? Like, has she settled now? Because there is a contrast between those two characters. Now, don't get me wrong, Danny isn't polished. Like, he's got a bit of edge to him. He definitely does. But it is a contrast, Digga D and Danny, big contrast. They're not in the same world. This moves on to a really interesting statistic that I've seen on YouGov. It was published in 2018 and it states 52% of women ignore red flags because they prioritize attraction over compatibility. That's really interesting to me. We're going to delve into that a little bit later. Number 2, why are women leaving their types? So it would appear that a lot of women are moving away from their types. And I think it's for a few reasons. Number 1, I think they're choosing stability and emotional support over superficial traits. In 2021, Pew Research found that women value emotional support over financial stability in modern relationships, which is really interesting, especially when you think about the sprinkle women who aggressively talk about making sure that you don't date broke. Really and truly, this whole sprinkle era really promotes aggressively dating up financially and never having to struggle, and being able to ask a man for money, being able to be provided for fully. And that doesn't even go for giving yourself up. They just really advocate for women to be able to be provided for financially. And granted, it's a lot of older women, I would say, that are in that kind of mindset, but a lot of young women are following suit. Like, let's not forget the episode I did on C China. She is a modern woman. She's 20 years old and she has been actively chasing the bag when it comes to men. So it is happening with modern women as well. However, according to this research in 2021, more and more women are choosing emotional support over financial stability, which is extremely interesting. Number 3, the danger of dating red flags. Now you would think, okay, well, of course there's danger in dating red flags. Yes, of course there is. But guess what? A lot of women date red flags. They do it. They know it's there. They cover their eyes. They wear one of those, you know, what are those glasses? Those glasses that you used to get. Is it 3D glasses? I don't know. They wear one of those colored sunglasses that changes the color of things. You can't really see the flag anymore, and they lie to themselves. They do. I have done it in the past, but I was young back then, okay? I have an excuse. But a lot of women now seem to date. I have conversations with women all the time, and it seems like they seem to date people knowing that they're bad for them, and they'll do it anyway. That's an issue. Look, we all like a little bit of flashy, but often women are going for this flashy guy, this guy who is doing things for clout, who's clearly out here trying to get as many girls as he wants. Often girls see that and they're like, yeah, that's a bit of me. That's a bit of me. How does that make sense? I don't know. And look, it's not always about flashy. Sometimes it could be guys with bad reputations or guys who clearly are not ready to commit. But a lot of women sometimes think that they can change a man. No, that's not the case. Let's look at another example, Serena Williams. Now, Serena Williams has a big backlog of men. No offense. I'm not even trying to say anything or judge. I'm just saying she has dated. And 2 of the most notable people that she dated is Drake and Common. And we all know about Common. If you don't know Common is an American rapper, and he is notoriously known for having commitment issues. He has stated it himself. He has commitment issues. He's currently dating Jennifer Hudson, and this is the first relationship where he's really outwardly said, like, if I'm going to get married, it's going to be to her. But his list of women include Erykah Badu, Tiffany Haddish, and of course, Serena Williams, to name a few. He has been with a lot of people. But he's fine. I'll give him that. He's fine. And I'm not highlighting black women leaving black men for white men. If it looks like this through this discussion, that is not my fault. These are the examples that I felt were prominent, that a lot of people could relate to, and that's what I'm going to say about that. Okay, that's going to be for another day. That kind of episode is going to be for another day. Please, I beg. Let me know in the comments if you want that kind of episode, because I can give it to you. I can deep dive into that if that's what we want to do. Now, obviously, we know that Serena Williams has a husband now who is a complete contrast to Drake and Common. But it leads me to question, are women taking accountability? Are they ignoring their instincts and then blaming the men? We hear it often, men ain't shit, men ain't shit. But it leads me to question, okay, if you know that men ain't shit, why are you going for the men that ain't shit and then complaining that they ain't shit? Are we ignoring our instincts, our gut? We're supposed to listen to our gut when it comes to dating. We're supposed to listen to our gut when it comes to meeting people. We are supposed to also take the time to understand ourselves so that we know the type of person that works for us. This is what I always say, especially for people who are back to back in relationships. Take the time to know yourself, get to know you. Now that I've decided, look, I'm going to start putting myself out there to start dating, it's because I've taken the time to get to know myself. I've had that conversation with myself, that honest conversation with myself where I tell myself, okay, this is who I need. This is the kind of guy I need. This might be the kind of guy that I like to look at, but when it comes to core values, when it comes to my peace of mind, when it comes to my nervous system being level, this is the kind of guy that I need. These are things I might need to compromise, and this is what I need, and I have to accept that, and I have to go for that. And stop going for this just because it looks pretty and I can use it for clout. Look, I'm human and I'm a no-nonsense coach. I always say this. I can be honest about my downfalls. In my past relationship, I stayed in that for a long time. I did. And I knew it wasn't useful to me. I knew it wasn't serving me. I knew it wasn't good for me. But it looked good. It looked good. It did. And that was one of the reasons why I stayed. Like I wanted it because aesthetically, I felt like it looked correct. There was attraction there, but my soul was being destroyed. It's never worth it. A report in Psychology Today in 2020 states 85% of women regret ignoring red flags early on in the relationship. At least they're admitting it. 85%, that is staggering. So a lot of women do this. They see the red flags. They see it. It's there. A lot of guys, you got to remember, men are less than smart, okay? And that's not a dig to you guys. I'm just saying. That's one thing my mum used to say. Men are stupid, okay? That's why they always get found out when they're cheating. They're not that smart when it comes to all this stuff. They're not. And with their red flags, a lot of men will hold it. They will hold it in your face. They will be waving as they're kissing on your neck, okay? So you need to ignore the feeling of the kisses on the neck and you need to open your eyes and look at the red flag. A lot of men are waving it proudly. They're not hiding it. And that's why I come to women sometimes and I'm like, are you being honest with yourself? Are you taking accountability? Are you wearing your glasses? And not the coloured ones. Number 4, choosing stability. Like I said, there's a few women in the spotlight who have left their type and who have found happiness outside of their type. So let's look at Serena Williams and her husband, Alexis. So like I said, Serena dated Common in the past and their relationship ended due to, I think there was a lot of scheduling and priorities weren't really aligned. And because he admitted he wasn't really down for commitment, really and truly. Common has been very open about struggling with commitment in the past. Red flag. And I'm not saying that that's one that you need to ignore, but I think if you're getting in a relationship with someone, I think the first month or two, once you already know that he struggles with commitment, he really has to set out some sort of structure. He really needs to prove himself in that initial first and second month. He really needs to prove himself that this is for the long haul and that he can really commit to this. And if that means sacrificing certain things, if that means by 6 months we're getting engaged, I don't know, just something. Because if you already struggle with commitment and we're both grown-ass people, and I know that this is the case and this is a red flag, I need to know that if you're not sure by month 2 or 3 we're going to end it, something needs to be put in place. I think they spent a good 3 years together. That's quite a long time for someone who is a commitment phobe. Then Serena got with Alexis. She's now married. She's got a child. And in recent years, she's been very open about her relationship. And she has admitted that Alexis wasn't her type. He wasn't her type when they first met. However, his consistent efforts in order to win her over, I think she even mentioned that he flew to Paris to surprise her. So all his efforts won her over. She even stated that he made her believe in that fairy tale love. and that he challenged her assumptions about what she thought she wanted. And she's also talked about the respect that he holds for her and their shared commitment to family. In an interview, she highlighted how Alexis made her feel seen and valued in a way that she hadn't experienced before. That's quite beautiful. And if you remember, when they first got together, there was a lot of chatter. Yes, he is a wealthy man. And of course, when a woman gets with someone who's less than attractive or less attractive to her or a different type, then it's okay, what's in it for her? And let's not get it wrong, Serena has her money, she has her coins, but that question still arises. Is it actually for love? Is it real? Is it genuine? Which is really unfortunate. And then when they start having the kids and their life looks like a fairy tale, oh my God, she's so smart. Oh my God, she did the right thing. Yeah, she knows what she's doing. Yeah. I think it's really important to leave societal pressures behind, leave societal expectations behind, and focus on what truly makes you happy. So let's move on to number 5. Can women really be happy when they date down? Let's go back to societal perception for a little bit. Like I said, when women date down, it's seen as, okay, what's she getting out of it? It's often framed as strategic or some sort of emotional choice. But then there's also another flip side where she's praised for her maturity, oh, she's smart, she's doing the right thing. She's not looking at looks, she's mature, she's dating with maturity. But examples like Serena are proven points that when women step outside of their norm type, they can find happiness and love and often attracting admiration. I honestly feel that in a relationship, for me, I'm a girl, I'm pretty, I'm the pretty thing. I don't want my man to be pretty. I want my man to be manly and masculine. And that to me is a bit more rugged, a bit more edgy. I want to be the pretty thing in the relationship. And that's just my way of thinking about it personally. So why aren't looks everything to women? Well, there is a contradicting societal pressure. I know we have pressures from everywhere, all angles, everything. If it's not this, it's that. If it's not that, it's this. But the other societal pressure is that women should date down. Women should settle to be able to find love, to be able to find peace and happiness. And that settling can often lead to a man that will prioritize her, which is reinforcing that looks is secondary. So there is this other side of societal pressures where it's like, don't date the guy that's too much or doing too much and looks amazing and will kind of put himself on a pedestal. Go for the guy who, date down a little bit and get a guy that puts you on a pedestal. Social Psychology and Personality Science 2020 shows that people find greater happiness when they focus on values over aesthetics or status. So I guess, those comments where they're like, oh, she's smart. I guess that poses a question. Is it dating down or is it just dating smart? Now, I know when men date down, it's a bit more like, whoa, because there's this lingering stereotypical thinking that men are more visual. And men are more visual. We are all visual beings, but men do have this, men are visual. They're visual beings. I don't know what they're visual. They are very visual and they like pretty things. That's just men. And so a lot of times society feels that they are unlikely to settle for someone who's below their attractiveness level, let's say. And if they do, then it's like, okay, there's some sort of compensation, whether that be wealth. We're not just talking about she has a good job. We're talking, she has, a legacy behind her or something really big, like a Hilton. Like if a Hilton was less attractive, she's got the whole Hilton behind her. So that kind of wealth. Or they might say something like, she's just really intelligent and just this amazingly smart person, this character. I think if we think about George Clooney and his wife Amal, when they first got together, a lot of people were like, whoa, and Amal is beautiful. But I think there was this element of he's been dating all these Hollywood actresses, these supermodels. It was kind of like, how did he get why Amal? Oh, because she's amazingly smart. She's this world-class lawyer. And every time you would hear them talk about her, they would have to exaggerate what she does for work because it was just not enough that she was not a supermodel. Why is George Clooney, the man that has been on covers as the world's hottest man, why has he chosen her? It wasn't enough for it just to be like, she's naturally beautiful. It's not that she's naturally beautiful. She's a beautiful woman and they get on and that's what it is. No, they had to emphasize how amazingly smart she was. And that's probably because of the trophy wife myth. And is it a myth? I don't know. Are we about to debunk it? Yeah, maybe. Men are often praised for having a beautiful wife, you know, that trophy wife. Like, who's that on your arm? Like, wow. Men are usually praised for that. It's a thing. It's like, oh my God, look at you, you know? And I guess that's perpetuated the idea that men would highly likely not date down. A study from 2023 on Psychology Today found that women are more likely than men to prioritize emotional compatibility over physical attractiveness, with 68% of women rating personality as their top factor compared to 42% of men. Men, however, ranked physical appearance as more important than women did, with 70% of men prioritizing looks compared to 47% of women. So I guess the trophy wife thing isn't necessarily a myth. It is statistically correct in terms of men do prioritize looks over personality. I mean, it reminds me of the film Shallow Hal. And the funniest thing is he wasn't even aesthetically pleasing himself, but he was so hell-bent on physical looks that he could not see personality. And sometimes you see that out and about when you see maybe like really beautiful women who appear to be less than smart with attractive men, and it's like, wow, you literally just want her because she looks good. You do no conversation, because we can't even imagine the types of conversation you're having. So these stats highlight that, I guess. Number 6, looks and power dynamics. I often think when women date down, is it to kind of have that power dynamic? Like, are women subconsciously choosing less traditionally attractive men to create a balance in power? Let me delve in and let's just explore this, okay? It could be a case of not having to compete with their husband or with their partner, you know, not having to compete in terms of attractiveness. Look, if I have a partner and I walk into a room and all the guys are looking at me, like, that's gonna boost me in my partner's eye. But if we're both walking in there and we're both having looks, he's not even going to notice that I'm having looks. Like, we're competing, like we're both just the star of the show. That might be in some people's heads. I don't know. I'm just giving an example. Studies suggest women with attractive male partners might feel more anxious about infidelity or external competition influencing their partner's choices. When I'm on a dating apps and I see someone and I'm like, oh my God, look at this guy. He's talking to me. He's just too much. He's too much. And my friend would be like, oh my God, yeah, no, I couldn't deal with that. He'd be giving me heart palpitations. That's what my friend would say. And I would always kind of think, okay, for me, when I say he's too much, I'm just explaining, like, he's just very pretty. I don't really go for pretty guys. I like a more masculine, rugged guy. But when she says that he would give her heart palpitations, it's usually because it's that level of insecurity or that trust. Like, she doesn't think that she'd be able to trust him because he looks so good. But does being good looking automatically equate to being a cheat? I don't know if that's fair, because the assumption that less attractive equals loyalty is a stereotype. Loyalty comes down to character and values and morals. So I'm going to disagree with that. And I guess another aspect of that power dynamic can be control, women having the control. Dating a less attractive partner can give the women the feel that they're in the driving seat, you know, especially the women who are more dominant, strong, and leading. And that dynamic might be attractive to some women, especially women who have been oppressed in past relationships or felt that they had their feelings diminished or felt that they were overpowered and undervalued. And then another aspect to this could be some women feeling like they're having their ego stroked, really and truly. You know, they feel more confident, especially when they're perceived like they are the prize. And that leads them to date men who don't overshadow them socially or physically. Studies have shown that individuals often feel more secure when their partner is perceived as slightly less desirable than themselves. And that goes for both. That's not specific to men or women. That's just general. That's really interesting. I guess no matter where, no matter what, there's always going to be a level of competition. There's always going to be a level of, as humans, we always want to be better than the next person. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think it's the way that we handle it, or the way we go about it. I think wanting to achieve and wanting to strive and wanting to be impressive, who doesn't want to be a winner? You know, no one wants to be a loser. So there's always that element of wanting to be a bit better. But I think when it comes to relationships, you just don't want it to be so much so that it brings a level of disrespect. And sometimes when you're dating down, it's kind of like you're looking down on a person, and there is an element of disrespect that can be formed by that. So it's a fine line. But then dating down looks wise can also maybe bring another element, because relationships where women date down in looks can also flourish because the male partner might overcompensate with kindness and support and attentiveness. And I think this happened with Chrissy Teigen and John Legend. And look, to me, I think John Legend is absolutely cute. I think he's adorable. And I think that they are of equal caliber. But in the past, a lot of people used to debate why they were together. They really saw Chrissy Teigen up here and John Legend down here. And I don't understand it. But if we use them as an example, John Legend appears to be so nice, so attentive, so caring, so sweet. And Chrissy has this kind of mean girl energy. And that could be that dynamic of overcompensating, overly being there. Like he always seems like he's just right there by her side in the most affectionate and loving way. But that could be an example of a woman dating down slightly and the man overcompensating. A study in 2021 found that couples with an attractiveness mismatch, where one partner is more attractive, often last longer due to the less attractive partner showing more effort and gratitude. Number 7, accountability. Look, I want to challenge you to take accountability. Are you dating for something that looks good over something that feels good? Are you ignoring your needs for societal approval? I think one of the most important things is to identify your needs. What do you need in a relationship? What works for you? Understand your character. What kind of partner will benefit from your kind of character? What kind of partner will bounce off of your character, your personality? Know yourself and know what kind of personality and character that you're going to need from another person. Also know your values, know what your morals are, know what you believe in. And then you need to also prioritize finding that out when you're in the dating phases with someone. What are their beliefs? What are their morals like? Do they align with yours? Stop glamorizing red flags. It's not fun and games if you're trying to be serious, because if you see those red flags and you see something and you take it as, oh, it's a little bit edgy, oh, it's a little bit sexy, oh, it's a little bit this, and then you get hurt, I don't want to hear from your mouth that men ain't shit, because you saw the red flag and you chose to ignore it. So stop glamorizing red flags. Number 8, let's talk about what makes a relationship work. So my mum always used to say, the man should love the woman more. That's what my mum has always told me. And I do see some truth to that. I do, because women are very nurturing. We're very loving. We're very lovey-dovey most of the time. Not all women are like that, but most of the time women are more affectionate. We're just more loving and nurturing, and we just crave it, and we're just lovey beings. And men are more rigid, more logical. And therefore, in a relationship, if the woman is like always so on him, very obsessive, it tends to be too much. We've seen it all before. Let's not pretend. We've seen this happen oftentimes. So I guess the logic would be, if a man loves the woman more, they will then match up in terms of that loviness, the equal neediness, the equal obsessiveness in one another to an extent, because they are on par with love, because he is loving more and she is kind of staying where she is, and they're kind of meeting. I get that. I get that, and I tend to believe that. I've definitely experienced something similar to that, but for me, I was quite young, and I feel like I wanted the bad boy. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I wanted the bad boy. And he wasn't a bad boy. He was very loving, and he was very loving to me. He loved me. And I definitely wanted that bad boy thing, but I was young, and we all have our story. Well, us silly ones have the story of, we had the good one and then we went for the bad boy and then we got heartbroken. And some of the other things that can make relationships work are commitment and appreciation. Having a relationship where it's committed and you're both on equal playing fields, you're both clear that this is the relationship that you both want to be in and you're committed. And appreciation, appreciating each other. We all need to hear it. We all need to hear thank you. We all need to hear, you being in my life is benefiting me. You being in my life is adding value to my life. That's another thing that makes a relationship successful. Respect. I've mentioned respect before. Serena mentioned it about her partner respecting her. Respect is such a cornerstone in a relationship. It's one of the most fundamental things, if not the fundamental thing. In a survey analyzing factors contributing to successful relationships, respect emerged as the most frequently cited essential element, surpassing trust, chemistry, and connection. Once respect is lost in a relationship, I know, because I've experienced it, where I lost respect, Nothing else can work, because you don't listen to your partner because you don't respect them. You can't trust them because you don't respect them. Like, nothing can work without respect. Communication is such an important thing. To be able to understand your communication styles, to be able to communicate when things go wrong. Some people are really good at holding things in. Some people play the silent treatment. There's so many ways that communication can be detrimental in your relationship if not done correctly. And communication patterns, because you've got to remember that predictability in a relationship is a good thing. If you know the kind of patterns and how you communicate, if somebody walks off during an argument and you understand the patterns, you've established a pattern and you've communicated a pattern, it's good to know, okay, he's walked away now or she's walked away now. She'll be back in 10 minutes. He'll be back in 10 minutes and we can reconvene. He just needs a break. Something. So it's really important to communicate, and to communicate how you're going to communicate. And shared life satisfactions. Of course, you have to be evenly yoked. You have to align, especially on how you want to live your life. You're combining lives. When you're with someone, it's with the mindset of being with them for the rest of your life. I know that is what it is for me. Number 9, compatibility over everything. I think through everything that we've discussed, I think it's quite clear that compatibility is the biggest thing. I think it's so important for us women to date with compatibility in mind. I think oftentimes we are just losing ourselves for things that are less important. Emotional stability, mutual growth, partnership, commitment. Those are the things that we should be looking at over aesthetics, over superficial traits. When we talk about Tennessee and Danny, it's not necessarily a case of him being less attractive, because I don't necessarily think that he is. She is, okay, it's not the fact that I don't think that he is less attractive to her, but I mean, she's stunning. She is stunning. She is beautiful. She's a beautiful woman, but it's clear that she decided to change up her priorities, and it's clear that she went for emotional stability instead of aesthetics, and instead of societal aesthetics and societal pressures. Like I said, I don't know Danny, and he is an attractive man in his own right, but I mean, we're just going to call it what it is. She is gorgeous. And I think that a lot of people need to switch up their priorities, or at least get to know what their priorities are. And if they don't align with your peace and happiness, then you might need to change your priorities. Reality check. We can't keep shouting men ain't shit and then keep choosing the same toxic ones. It's time to be honest with what we need. I really hope that you like this video. Please comment down and share with me. Have you recently changed your type? Are you a lot happier now? Let me know. Get down in the comments and tell me if you want to see more videos like this. Is there any other topics that you'd like me to discuss? As usual, please comment, share, like, and subscribe to my channel. And hit the notification bell if you want to be notified of any time I upload a new video. And I just want to leave you with this. Sometimes what you think you want is nothing compared to what you truly need. Until next time, bye friends.